President Zelensky says that he has information that Russians have planted bombs and mines into the Novakhovka hydroelectric power plant dam and that they plan to blow it up. We'll very soon jump to the military map and look at the area that would be flooded. We have this map that illustrates the area that would be flooded if the dam would be blown up. There is Kherson and tens of other settlements, half of which, by the way, would be under Russian occupation, so Russians would be flooding their own occupied settlements with this. The wave will be about 5 meters high and it would reach Kherson in 2 hours. It would flood both banks of the Dnieper River, but the weird part is that the largest flooding would happen on the left bank or the Russian occupied bank of the Dnieper River. We have more worrying news coming from Kherson city. According to the International Study of War, Russian forces in Kherson are preparing to leave and take their equipment with them. Putin did declare a martial law a few days ago in all of the Russian-occupied Ukrainian territories of Zaporozhye, Kherson, Donetsk and Luhansk. And with it, Russians started evacuating civilians also from the Kherson city. They plan to evacuate up to 60,000 Russian civilians from Kherson in 6 days. They will be ferried across the river and possibly sent into Russia. Things are changing very fast in Kherson because apparently Ukrainian shops who were forced to accept rubles as currency in Kherson now have stopped accepting rubles as currency. That means the Russian military grip around Kherson is loosening if they are not able to force the shopkeepers to pay in Russian currency anymore. Some of you are even suggesting that Russians are withdrawing from Kherson not to flood it but to nuke it. Russia is not acting like it in this matter. Only some civilians and officers are withdrawing. We're not seeing any signs of the freshly mobilized being pulled out. And they have used this tactic before in the Kievian front. When Russian regular units were ready to be pulled out from Kiev, Russia sent volunteers and freshly mobilized to bolster up and take the brunt of the Ukrainian hit so the regulars could pull out. We're seeing the same pattern here. Unless Russia wants to nuke their own freshly mobilized troops by the thousands, I don't think they're gonna nuke the area. Furthermore, that Russia has about 30,000 troops under the gun on both sides of the Dnieper River and in the vicinity of Kherson, nuking the area would potentially eliminate all of these troops, so I don't think this is a possibility. In a moment we will talk more about the flooding of Kherson and we'll look at the map. But before that, I want to guide your guys' attention to my second channel where I will start a podcast. It will be called the Estonian Soldier Podcast and the first guest will be Jake Broey. He was a nuclear operations officer working on Minuteman III nuclear missiles of the United States of America, and we will be talking about the nuclear war, NATO, Ukraine and many different interesting topics. So link in the description below, check out the second channel. If you're more interested about what I do in my personal life, the Instagram is also in the description below. You can go and follow me. And of course, this video couldn't be made without the sponsor. Here we go. I'm not an Estonian soldier anymore. Or an Estonian YouTuber. I am now a Lord of Scotland, and these are my lands. Established Titles is a project based on a historic Scottish custom, where landowners, such as myself, are referred to as lairds, or lords and ladies in English. They allow people to buy as little as 1 square foot of dedicated land on a private estate in Edelston, Scotland, and an official certificate with a crest, so that you can call yourself a lord or a lady. Bow before me, peasant. Off with your head. I'm supposed to be a nice lord. Off with your head. Your certificate features a unique plot number with which you can see the exact location of your land. It makes a great last-minute gift. They even have couple packs that come with adjoining plots of land. You could officially change your name to Lord or Lady and get it on your credit card, plane tickets, etc. if your country allows it. You can even get it on your dating profiles. I mean, have you seen some lords up in Tinder? You're gonna be the first. Established Titles is committed to planting a tree with every order. It is a fun, novel way to help preserve the picturesque woodlands and biodiversity of Scotland while supporting global afforestation efforts. Established Titles is actually running a massive sale right now. Plus, if you use the code Estonian69, yeah, I'm not kidding you, the code is Estonian69, you get an additional 10% off. Established titles told me that the first 200 people purchasing a title pack using my link will effectively be next to my plot, within a few minutes of walking. Depending on how many of you want to become a lord or a lady, we can build our own little kingdom. Go to establishedtitles.com/Estonian69 to get your gifts now and help support the channel. I gave you my opinion about the nuking of the area. I don't think this is plausible or likely in any way. Let's talk about the flooding of the area, destroying the Nova Kakhovka Dam. See, this is the Dnieper River and this is Nova Kakhovka, one of the only two bridges connecting both banks of Dnieper River. One is Antonovsky Bridge in Kherson, the other one is Nova Kakhovka Bridge over here. There is also a small railway bridge, I'm not going to count that right now. This area here is a huge artificially enlarged part of the river thanks to this dam. If Russians would blow this dam up, the area flooded, as we saw from the video previously, would be huge area downstream. It would be Kherson city, but it would also be a lot of the settlements on the left bank, the western bank, whichever bank you want to call this, the Russian occupied bank of the Dnieper River. So Russians would be shooting themselves in the foot with this. They would flood their own areas, possibly their own troops and military. All of these areas here, as you can see, it has many water bodies. It's a very low area. All of this area would be underwater or filled with mud, untraversable by foot or with vehicles. Yes, Russians would have this huge water body in between them and Ukrainian forces, but they would also kind of render this area undefendable. They would have to pull back to make new defensive lines on the dry ground. So I don't see Russians flooding this area, flooding their own troops, their own defensive lines. The other reason I don't think they will flood it, because look at this. This small canal here gets their water only because of this enlarged water body. If you destroy this dam, this canal will be dry. This canal is vitally important because it feeds no other than Crimea. It feeds the Crimean Peninsula with water. Putin has a huge issue with Crimean water sources. There are none. Controlling Nova Kakhovka is one of the most important tasks for Putin because now water is running to Crimea. Ukrainians cut the water to Crimea after 2014 when Russia occupied Crimea. And ever since then, Crimea has been drying up. If Russian forces would destroy the Nova Kakhovka Dam, they would directly go against Putin's wishes to keep Crimea supplied with water. So I don't see Russians doing it. That would hurt them too much. Not only in Kherson Oblast, but in Crimea. No nukes, no flooding. This footage shows a Russian military convoy being tracked by an Estonian-made Magila 3 drone. Made in Estonia, but donated to Ukraine by Lithuanians who gathered money for it in a crowdfunding campaign. Russian convoy stops and pulls into the woods, trying to camouflage their locations, but as soon as they stop, this Estonian-made Lithuanian-bought Magila 3 drone guides USA sent HIMARS straight onto it. They annihilate the convoy with many blasts, ammunition detonating long before the explosions are over. This is a true international mix here. We have United States weapons, Estonian UAVs and Lithuanian funding on a Ukrainian soil, destroying Russian vehicles. The drone got its name after a Lithuanian goddess of death, Magila. And they're built by an Estonian company, 3 Systems. We have a Russian Wagner soldier testing a Ukrainian body armor plate. Let's see how satisfied he will be with the results.
Конечно, неприятные, неутешительные. Это держит, реально хорошо держит. Сейчас попробуем поработать с ЭКМом. Возможен такой вариант, что он его пробьет. Ну, ихние волонтеры справились с остальной задачей, что я могу сказать. Вот. Так что давайте сейчас посмотрим, как оно отработает. Семерка. Даже сейчас попробуем вот так вот сделать. Неприятно их не чувствовать. Это какая-то она слишком...
The plate is too invincible. I can already tell this Wagnerite is not pleased by the Western international help to Ukraine. Oh my god, they actually send them good body armor. What the hell? Because we have seen the video of the test of Russian body armor from the 60s and 70s. I mean, it's a Soviet body armor. It was a very thin plate of metal and even a 9mm shot through it. So this is definitely a disappointment for the Wagnerites.
Непробиваемая эта плита.
Нет пробития.
У наших оппонентов плита
invincible.
непробиваемая. Почему-то, я не могу понять.
А ну-ка.
I can't understand how is this plate impenetrable. Maybe for the reason that it's made in the Western countries where quality control is a very big thing.
А ну давай вскрываем ее, да, посмотрим, что там внутри. По шву скрываю, по шву, просто скрываю, да и все. Посмотрим, что там. Украинская плиточка у нас это. Трофейненькая плиточка, что там такое. Так, вижу антитравматическую. А ну что там, покажи.
As you can already see, there's not only a metal plate, there's already two different foams or layers on both sides of the plate that serve different purposes. There is some science behind this plate, not like the Soviet plates where there's just a metal plate and a pure faith that it will stop bullets.
Ага. Я офигею, ни одного вспучивания,
No
ничего нет
holes.
абсолютно. Все порвано, да? А ну покажи осколки внутри. О, глянь. Весь хлам, пацаны, она собирает, войлок его собирает. Это было КМ, 3 пули, короче. Ну что показывает, ребята, отработала она на 5 баллов. Скажу честно, отработала на 5 баллов, ребят. Плита любыми видами пуль. Ну, мы СВДшные пули не брали, конечно, потому что, ну, сами понимаете, такое дело, что мы как с точки зрения штурмов рассматриваем сейчас все. АКМ и 3 вида РПК пуль. Держит. БР-4 держит. Флаг держит. Вот, смотрим внимательно.
This is proof by the Ukrainian enemies who are very disappointed in this, that Ukrainian bulletproof plates hold on against Russian and Soviet weaponry. They should, that should be the purpose of them, and it shows us that they really save lives. If those 3 shots would come through in the torso like he shot right now, this is a death sentence. 3 shots in the torso, I don't see anybody surviving. The White House said a few days ago that Iranian troops are directly involved in Crimea, supporting Russian drone attacks against Ukrainian infrastructure. Zelensky said the other day that he has information that Russia has ordered 2,400 Iranian drones. As soon as they get onto the battlefield, then they will be swarmed up in there by Russia. Ukraine is shooting them down. But the few drones that get through their defense, they do a lot of damage. In addition to these 2,400 drones, Iran is now sending also 2 different types of ballistic missiles to Russia. Iranian drone handlers in Crimea, boots on the ground, Iranian personnel, they're there to teach Russians how to handle these drones, how to use them properly, but they're also there to verify with their own eyes the effectiveness of these drones on the battlefield. Potentially, Iran would want to use these drones against Israel or in number of their proxy wars they are funding in the Middle East. Connected to Iranian drones, this is gonna be good, you're gonna love it. Ruslan Pukov, a Russian defense analyst, was asked to speak about the change in global markets in Russian state TV. Believing the interview hasn't started yet, he brought up the Iranian drones and asked the hosts not to mention that they are Iranian drones because the authorities, they don't admit it. He didn't know he was live on the air.
Как, в принципе, изменится мировой рынок, спросим у эксперта. В нашей студии Руслан Пухов, директор Центра анализа стратегий и технологий, член Общественного совета при Министерстве обороны России.
Руслан Николаевич. Раскачивать не будем, поэтому я очень прошу вас сильно на этих иранских, потому что это классика истории. Жопа есть, а слова нет, да? Мы все знаем, что они иранские, но власти не признали.
Руслан Николаевич. Да, приветствую вас, Руслан Николаевич. Давайте начнем с того, как, в принципе, изменится мировой рынок.
The host immediately said his name in a harsh tone. Listen to me, we're live right now. Don't talk about this. Look at the look he has in the end. I'm guessing he understood he was live and he just aired a state secret to the whole of Russia live. This is the look of, am I going to be falling out of a window after this interview? This next video we are gonna watch together is about Stavropol Mobiks, freshly mobilized troops and their gear. You're gonna laugh, believe me. High-tech Russian equipment, tactical gear, which includes paintball masks and children's tactical gloves.
Короче, уважаемый Ставрополь, администрация Ставрополя, спасибо за такой вообще жесткий взгрев для бойцов, короче, которые мобилизованы.
This is a paintball mask or an airsoft mask. No use in war whatsoever. Protects the eyes, of course, but it's really hard to breathe in it for longer periods of time. You just need ballistic glasses.
Эта вещь называется пейнтбольная маска из пластмассы. Вот. Такая вот фигня, короче. Они думают, что мы как эти...
Walking around like Star Wars.
Ходить вот в этом говне, которое вообще не имеет никакого смысла и цели. Вот. За нательное белье, за дождевичок, за вот такую панамку модную, короче, ну, хоть что-то полезное. Вот, типа, есть форма теплая, короче, зимняя, вот. Ну, только как-то получилось так, что все мобилизованные успели закупиться, короче.
All the mobilized had to do their own shopping. So you'll be mobilized to the Russian army, you have to have money, because if you don't, you cannot buy any equipment and you just will die quicker in the field because you're cold, you don't have food, you don't have protective gear. So you better have money when you're mobilized. The state is not going to take care of you.
Примасок в 1 литр, короче. Тоже полезная очень вещь, короче, она нам поможет. Но самое топчик, который есть, это
Tactical gloves.
тактические перчатки на ребенка, короче, потому
But
что
they're children's.
на мою руку они, ну, вообще как бы не подойдут. И ни одному бойцу они, короче, не подошли. Вот. А также еще, короче, самый топчик, что есть, это берцы. Берцы выполнены из натуральной резины, короче. Куплены, я не знаю, во имя чего и для чего. Потому что такими берцами, вот они к зиме нас подготовили, короче, вот от всей души.
So just one layer of rubber or synthetic leather, no insulation, no socks, warm socks. You will lose your toes in the winter in these. But other than that, I don't see what's the problem though. Like, boots do look like that, and if you put some warm socks, maybe 2 pairs on at the same time, then I guess you could even be warm in these boots.
Души нам дали, короче, резиночки такой. Вот. Вот такие берцы, которые мы благополучно...
They will throw away these boots.
Так что, короче, уважаемая администрация Ставрополя, низкий поклон вообще, респект, мы всегда рады служить. Как говорится, рад стараться, готов сраться.
Oh my god, the sarcasm in this video. Yeah, this is all the equipment they got. The rest of it they have to buy, and this is nothing. This is like 1/10 of the equipment you will need as an infantryman in the field. So, and this equipment is expensive because if tens of thousands of men are trying to buy the same thing, the price will go up. So there's a real problem. The troops are not getting anything else, and they're gonna go like this. Just a weapon given to them and no training. Russian fighter jet Su-27 released a missile in the vicinity of a British aircraft in the international airspace over the Black Sea, supposedly because of technical malfunction. UK's Defence Secretary Ben Wallace let us know that the Russian aircraft also flew very close to NATO aircraft, 4.6 meters, which is 15 feet. Let's take a moment to remember how the United States got involved in the First World War. German U-boats, which were a wonder weapon at the time, they sunk a ship that had many United States citizens on it, many United States casualties after the sinking, and the United States was pushed into the war, further isolating Germany in the world stage. Well, the same thing is happening with Russia. It looks like they're looking for enemies. Let's imagine a scenario where the Russian jet releases the missile and it actually downs the RAF aircraft. The pilot is Kia. UK would be forced to make a counterstep, forced to prop up the help to Ukraine, maybe forced to send some experts on the ground to Ukraine. Russia is playing with fire. I want to give you some lighter tones. Let's just appreciate this photo. It's just a beautiful photo. I want to share it with you. I don't think it needs any additional commentary. There's also this one where Putin asks God for help, and the response is unilaterally understandable, ending with a positive tone. I remind you again that I have a podcast coming, the Estonian Soldier podcast in my other channel. The link is in the description below. Jake Broe will be the first guest. Go and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you want to keep an eye on my personal life and personal doings, then the Instagram is the best place. Also in the description below. Go and follow. Until my next video, stay cool, my friends. Slava Ukraini.